I'm reporting today from a synagogue in Capernaum, where the normal Sabbath service was turned into chaos when an up-and-coming rabbi from Nazareth named Jesus spoke some radical statements. This reporter was there because the synagogue officials had alerted everyone that Jesus was going to be there and offer the Sabbath homily. As a background to today's events, this very controversial man created quite a stir when he reportedly fed 8,000 people in the hill country on the other side of the Sea of Galilee with only 5 loaves of bread and a couple of fish that were given to him by a small boy. Reports are that all 8,000 had enough to eat, and there were 12 baskets of leftovers. When asked how this could be done, the local scribes and Pharisees had no answer. The strange story doesn't end there. There is a rumor that he even went to a village in Samaria, the home of our hated half-breed enemies, and met with a woman of all people, and spoke to her about living water, and went on to convince an entire village of those worthless heathens to believe in him as their Messiah. What good a Messiah is to a Samaritan, no one knows. Anyway, there seems to be no end to the traditions and beliefs that this man will challenge. Many reliable witnesses have said that a couple of weeks ago he healed a man in Jerusalem on the steps of the temple who had been afflicted with paralysis for 38 years. Witnesses said that at Jesus' word, the man stood up, picked up his mat, and walked home. The real story here is not the healing, but that Jesus did this on the Sabbath, an act which is forbidden by the law of Moses. That brings us to the astonishing statements by this man in the synagogue today. The place was packed. So many people were in there that no one could sit down, and even breathing was difficult. Many from the hill country who had eaten the bread were there, undoubtedly looking for more free bread. All eyes were fixed on the rabbi from Nazareth. He spoke softly at first, but as he went on, his face became more radiant, his voice excited and strong. He spoke with fearlessness and conviction, but what he said is the real story. He claimed to be bread from heaven. He reminded all of us that manna from the sky fed our ancestors in the desert many centuries ago. But he went on to say that he himself was the true bread from heaven, a life-giving bread that can give all who eat it eternal life. He claimed that God was his Father when he said that the Father in heaven wanted all people saved, and that if they ate the bread and drank the wine Jesus would provide, he would raise them up on the last day. Now, here is where it gets real strange. Jesus told those in the synagogue that this bread was his body and this wine was his blood, and that they must feed on him. Yes, he used the word feed. It sounds really crazy and unbelievable that a man could offer his own flesh and blood to give life to others. The entire crowd rose up with shouts of fraud, heresy. They said he was insane and that what he proposed was impossible. Many were so upset that they stormed out of the synagogue in anger. I spoke with one man who had come for bread who was greatly disappointed. Another woman told me that she had hoped that Jesus would call for a revolution against the occupation of the Romans and be a mighty king to lead Israel to independence and prosperity. But Jesus did not call out after them. He said nothing as many walked away, shaking their heads in disbelief. A small group of his friends remained behind in the nearly empty room. He turned to one of them named Simon and softly asked if he wanted to leave too. I heard Simon reply loud and clear that no, he and his friends would not leave him, for they had no other place to go. What will become of this unusual and controversial rabbi from Nazareth is anybody's guess. Reporting from Capernaum, this is Israel Independent News.